I just tweeted out that I paid zero point 0.1 Bitcoin for a cat JPEG and didn't get the JPEG. So I asked Udi what to do, and he said to speak to D. I asked who D was, and he said D's nuts. I'm heartbroken. That was my kid's inheritance. That was literally inspired by a tweet I just read because Mark Cuban has been getting massively like torn in freaking like torn to pieces about this ESG nonsense, and he decided to do an AMA last night. The first question that got posted was, "What did you think? Think about what D said about you last night?" And he went, "Who's D?" And he went, "D's nuts." Got ya. And he replied like fail. And everyone's replies was, "Look at the likes, Mark. This is so far from a fail."
We are back. That's right. Bullish Bitcoin banter and bullshit brought to you by Mr. All-In, aka the $1 Trillion Man, Dr. Evil 10%, aka the People's Champ, myself, Sir Neverlook, aka the Excellence of Execution, and surprise, surprise, no surprise, she's not here, Mrs. No Show, Pod 129, still no show. Spoke to her earlier on in the week. Nothing else to report back. It was going to be, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's now been, what is it? Well, she appeared in, was it episode 1 and 2 or something like that, or a 1 and 3?
Yeah.
And then is 60 something like 67, 68, which she appeared
68, yeah.
Yeah, and we're now up to 129. So it's almost the same gap between almost like the mid-season and the start, isn't it? I've just kind of like given up on her showing up. But I am. It's a good point. Is like because inevitably he'll be listening. But young NBA, when's he going to get his fat ass on this pod? Put down your soy burger. Get on here, you lazy shit.
Apparently he's all busy doing meetings in London these days. Too busy for us plebs.
He's on a new path, a new journey now.
He's stacking them sats.
Yeah, still needs to get his ass on here. We haven't seen him for ages. Give him some shit.
Yeah, we'll have to get him on in the next month or so. I'm sure it can be arranged.
Right, well, let's kick off then. So the first story that we've got, Mr. All-In, you're going to take us through Bitwise ETF proof of funds.
Yeah, so obviously it follows on from the good old ETF that we've had the last couple of weeks, and yeah, so as we've discussed, we've gone great. This ETF exists, but are they just going to create paper Bitcoin? Are they going to back it with Bitcoin? So Bitwise have come out, which they have an ETF. It's the BitB kind of ticker code, and they've done great. They have published their Bitcoin addresses to prove how much Bitcoin they are holding. So they currently have 11,858,000 Bitcoin under in their holdings to a market value of roughly $500 million. And they published their address. So you just went, there you go. You can see on our website. And if you go into our ETF, you will see the overall value of the ETF. Then you can go and check that against our Bitcoin address, and those two numbers should marry. So you don't have to trust, you can verify. So this is, they're setting a great example here. They're proving themselves that they are a Bitcoin company, a Bitcoin ETF. Now, clearly, we'd still say don't buy the ETF, just buy the Bitcoin. But at least they are backing it 1-to-1. For every dollar they are taking in one side, they're buying a dollar's worth of Bitcoin and putting it into cold storage. Fantastic. We know BlackRock, and they're not going to do that. We can almost guarantee they're not going to do it. And they're the main ones we are worried about printing paper Bitcoin and not really buying it, just going, we're just going to hold it and almost stem the flow. But Bitwise is setting a great example. They're going, you don't need to trust us that we say we're going to back our ETF 1-to-1. We can back it up with proof. Here's our Bitcoin address. There's $500 million worth of Bitcoin in there, and there's $500 million worth of dollars in the Bitcoin ETF. There's the Bitcoin that backs it, not just 1-to-1.
And that might be the key differentiator that we never thought about between all of these ETFs, because of course they all went live on the same day. Apart from Grayscale, they came out with 0 fees or no fees for an agreed period of time. But ultimately, maybe this is the key to it as well, and it kind of pushes the others to follow suit. But as you said, won't necessarily be something that the BlackRock ETF are even considering of doing. It goes on to another story, which we'll come on to later on, because I think there's still a lot of uncertainty and hesitancy with the ETF. And effectively, you're looking for, where's the scam? Because that's what I'm thinking all of the time. Not that I'm ever thinking about going into the ETF or, pulling my money from an ETF perspective. But I am looking out and thinking, okay, how are these dirty Wall Street guys trying to scam the general public? Because there is somewhere.
Oh, it'll be the same what they do every time. It's price manipulation, right?
Yeah.
It's price manipulation, also control of an asset. So we've got to think about way, and then you'll get all kinds of what they called kind of derivatives of Bitcoin. So it won't be a Bitcoin ETF, it'll be dividends, it'll be some shit like that. They'll come up with a way of manipulating it so it's not Bitcoin. They've probably got a couple of them already. But kind of like going back to what you're saying, oh yeah, they're showing it's backing it up, which is great. But anyone who actually pays attention to that will be buying Bitcoin anyway. They won't be buying a Bitcoin ETF. So, this is aimed at the boomers, and the boomers won't care. They'll be like, oh yeah, BlackRock, they're trusty. We should put all our money into those. We can trust them, and they'll go in. So I kind of think that whilst we would look at that, and other Bitcoiners would,
yeah,
I think the people who are targeting or rather looking at these ETFs won't. However, one bit we've spoken about is like when these come into the UK, there's the option of moving your pension, which you got contributions from your company, you're forced to pay in. Could you just put into this because, well, it's better than putting in some bonds?
Yeah.
So why not put it into a mixture of this and what Booster and some other like ETFs? Because at least you'll be following the market and have some risk.
yeah. Because the crazy thing is, right? Let's just assume that BlackRock does what it is intending on doing, which would probably to print some paper Bitcoin, largely trying to manipulate the price. I don't think that would even work if they did do that. I think a lot of the flow will still try and get in directly because people are going to want to hold this Bitcoin, and that's their flight to safety. So what could happen is that you end up buying the Bitcoin ETF, which is largely just purely tracking the price of Bitcoin, but then BlackRock don't buy the Bitcoin. So when Bitcoin 100x is 1000x is, and essentially fiat becomes trash and Bitcoin is the global currency of the world. If that happens whilst you're with the ETF, that ETF doesn't pay out. They didn't back it with Bitcoin. So you really need to make sure the Bitcoin is there just to make sure your ETF doesn't fail. It's almost like Michael Burry when he bet on the housing market to collapse. And he just went, I know I'm right. So, and when it collapses, I know it's taking the banks with it. So I need a guarantee that you put this much money aside, this many billion has to be put aside to pay me out. Then I will bet multiple billions on the housing market going under. And they all laughed in his face and went, we'll do whatever you want. This is never going to come true. But he went, when this fails, you're going under and I won't get paid out. And that's the same with this, right? There's no point betting on essentially the financial market going under in a financial instrument that is in the financial market and isn't even backed by Bitcoin, where at least this one is. So I still think you'd be in trouble, at least with Bitwise. If you had all your money in there and this hyperinflation thing starts, I'd imagine there'd be a load of controls. I'd imagine your account will get frozen. but at least that in theory,
I imagine
Bitwise could pay you out.
But in theory, or rather in practice, they'll own the Bitcoin, you won't.
Of course. But like in this example, Bitwise they look like good actors at the moment. But I still think even if they remain good actors, even during a hyperinflation type event, I think the powers that will turn them into bad actors because they'll just close the exit ramp, won't they? They'll just freeze this account, they'll freeze the Bitcoin and they go, it is a criminal offense to give this Bitcoin out. Do not let people sell this ETF.
So, kind of going to the second part of this, because we talked about proving that you got a Bitcoin. The second bit is about the fact that it's just one account, or rather, kind of like one wallet where they got all the Bitcoin. Is that right?
Yeah, there's one address, and yeah, so Peter Todd is. I don't know whether obviously he's one of the Bitcoin core developers. He spoke to Satoshi when he was like 14 years old. So who am I to like even slightly question his technical ability? But he's saying this is they put $500 million into single pay to pub key hash address, which is completely insane. Use multi-sig. And so he's claiming they're not using multi-sig, which basically just means that one set of keys could be used to move this money, and usually you'd use multi-sig, so you need multiple keys to unlock the money and send it off. It's quite common, and you can do it as an individual, but it's very common when you have this level of money. Like this should take you like a day to access, right? And it should need multiple people to come together to be able to send a transaction from this wallet because you've got $500 million in there. It's too much of a security risk for one person to have one set of keys to be able to walk in and just start sending from this wallet, right? You're asking for trouble if that's the case. But yeah, it seems like they responded anyway, and going because they host their Bitcoin at Coinbase. So I think they do have multi-sig, but it's off chain, so you can't see it via the address. But they do have, even though it's in a single address, usually in multi-sig it's over multiple addresses, all different keys, and they have to come together to send it. I mean, they've got it all in a single address, but then they've split it up, all the seed words and stuff. It's managed offline, and Coinbase are doing something. So, but fair play. Peter Todd's just raising it, but it does look nuts, right? There's $500 million worth of Bitcoin just sat in a single Bitcoin address. You go,
yeah,
right.
Because your trillion you've got split across multiples.
Yeah, I get it. Like for companies, and it's nice to be able to just put a single address on there, and essentially you can watch that address now, can't you? And
you don't want a bad actor running off with all the cash, $500 million, as well.
Yeah,
is
and
what
if
it comes down to.
It'll be freaking transparent as fuck, won't it? Because people are watching it now. So, like, literally, Bitcoin Twitter will know if they get hacked before Bitwise do.
Yeah.
Because the money will go out.
It kind of feeds in, like your comment, to the next story. So, what the Bitcoin has done with this address. This is so the first one, Alexander Leishman, not someone who I know. Is he a big Bitcoiner?
No idea who he is.
He's added in, what is it? 6,969 sats to the Bitwise ETF. So it's now the only over collateralized ETF. What a typical Bitcoin thing to do.
Man,
yeah, of course.
Have a look at the screenshot. There's loads of Bitcoins we can get. Right. So what's happened here, right? So you shared your address to do proof of funds. What do Bitcoiners do with that? They start sending it Bitcoin. 69.69, 420, all these silly amounts of sats are going to this address. People are even starting to troll it, right? And be like, oh, don't send them any CoinJoin coins, none of this dirty Bitcoin that the regulators don't like. It would be horrible to taint the whole stack. Like, guys, these like I get it. I get the fact we hate the ETFs, right? Fine. These guys are trying to do the right thing. They're trying to be transparent. BlackRock and all the other big boys are just keeping stum. who knows whether they bought a single Bitcoin at this.
Well, BlackRock aren't exactly going to publish their address after this.
I know, exactly. This is like another reason, because now like there could be some dodgy Silk Road coins, right, that have been tainted, or at least like tainted in the eyes of the regulators. You can send a bit of that Bitcoin to this address. Now that whole stack now, technically, if I just send a fraction of a penny worth of Silk Road Bitcoin to this address, whenever you send it out, you go, was a bit of that the Silk Road money? Is that tainted? Is that actually the FBI's?
Yeah.
And and you just go, and suddenly like the regulators could come down on them and potentially freeze these funds. And like we're taking it as a joke.
And just ruin it for everyone.
Yeah.
It's like the ETFs are kind of like the substitute teachers that are just always getting bagged on, aren't they? It's like the minute you come in the classroom, you're getting it. And that's what they are. It's like, no, I appreciate you trying to do good. Our regular teacher, Satoshi, is off ill today, but you've walked in and it is our duty to take the piss.
I know. I'm like, guys, like, don't take the piss out.
A couple of
Bitcoin ETF trying to do its best. Like all the others.
A couple of questions on this one.
Could
they block?
No.
So you can't block anyone sending Bitcoin to the address. There's no way of doing that.
No.
The other one is I've just been reading the comments, and someone called Reed Temikio says, "Please, someone dust this address with Tornado Cash F." What the fuck does that mean?
Accept Tornado Cash, but it'll only accept Bitcoin.
It's a shit.
It says dust it. I remember we talked about dusting. Must be a good year ago. I can't remember what the hell it was. It's somehow like almost a bit of a chargeback or something.
I don't know. It had the word ETH in it, so I just switched off. I don't care.
Just zoned out. Fuck this. And going down into the comments,
text to it as well.
It looks like someone's just sent an inscription, so I'm guessing that's an ordinal. What I can assume to be Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah, because it's an Indian woman, so she pretends to be Indian, doesn't she?
Oh, does she? I was like going, I don't understand this.
Yeah, she said like she's like 70% Native American or something. You go, Elizabeth, no, you're not. You're like the whitest white woman there is. Just shut up.
Elizabeth Warren, how dare you insinuate that Big Lizzie lies?
She isn't a Native American Indian. Like, it's like, okay.
Whatever Elizabeth Warren says she is, she is.
Yeah. She's a fucking liar. That's what she is. but yeah, it's a funny one. But
it's something which I'll have to somehow deal with. I don't know how we'll deal with the ETFs and the fact that these instruments have to be quite opaque and follow rules. But I suppose the Bitcoiners will get bored after a bit. You don't want to keep on sending sats to these things, no matter how funny it is.
Exactly. You're never getting it back. But
yeah. The good thing is though, it's over clockwise now, right? So every other ETF can go, we're 1-to-1. The Bitwise one now technically is more than 1-to-1 because they've got a load of random stupid sats sent from Bitcoiners that have pushed them over the 100%.
I'd love to know how much more they've got now. Where they hit, a good amount more.
It'll be like literally on top of that
wishing well, isn't it? You just
yeah. They've got $500 million in there, and I doubt they've got an extra $100 in total.
No, these are pennies in terms of that people are throwing in, but it's just a good luck charm because of the transparency that they've done.
Yeah, you'd have to send it some meaty sats to freaking move the dial on $500 million. And I don't think anyone's going to be up for the memes enough to burn that many sats because, like you said, they ain't getting them back. It's a one-off joke.
But people do send multiple Bitcoin to Satoshi's wallet.
Oh yeah, we discussed that last week, wasn't it? They sent in 26 or a couple of weeks.
I don't really understand that, but
yeah,
it's always a mystery.
So you've got a bit of a funny story in the next one because I think we've touched on this quite a bit, haven't we? So this is a financial retirement plan that comes to a Bitcoiner's work. And it is a really, really good thread for anyone listening to read. We recommend that you read this one. Because I think we've all had these conversations. I know that my wife's made me speak to a financial advisor, and I kept things fairly civil, but asked them if they could show me the returns on their fund versus the S&P for the last 10 years, and how they beat the S&P and what strategies they used. And I got nothing back.
apart from the evilest look from your wife, like,
oh yeah, but
you're doing it
you know,
again, aren't you? You're embarrassing me with your Bitcoin talk.
I asked him to send me that. I never got it back, and he's like, "Oh, but there's certain days which it goes on like, so it's about investing in the long term, is it? That seems good. Looks like my strategy is really good for the S&P." Never got the feedback about how he beat the S&P. I never got the comparison, and I never got the note on what his strategies were. Did get a chase. Well, my wife got a chase about, oh yeah, we should speak. I'm like, I don't see the point. Like, he hasn't given me what I wanted.
Yeah, he just hopes you forget the questions, and then
Correct.
so you're going to put your money in the fund and let me charge you 2% a year.
Yeah,
No,
he should have just realised when he got that question after he'd asked me what my assets were, and I listed
I know what they're
Bitcoin in
talking
there.
about. Run. I can only take advantage of boomers. Like anyone technically or financially competent, I'm not for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Oh, you're
Because
asking too many questions here.
I know,
Probably not the right fund for you.
but if you look online, there's Ray Dalio's, I can't remember what he calls it, but it's balance, which will perform well through the bad periods, and literally you can build it
Your weather
yourself.
report.
Yes, so you go bonds, ETS, world ETS, and so on, things like that. And you basically stack four things together, and you put the adjustments in. You make sure that you readjust this fund, and it stays steady. And it's literally, if you really wanted to follow a fund, do it yourself for a lot cheaper. You're not getting the 2-3% taken out on pay-ins. You're not getting a management fee per year. And obviously, it's very transparent, so you know which exact funds you're going into. But anyway,
Or just
back to
following
this
Mr.
one.
All-In's fund, which is sell all your assets and buy Bitcoin 100%, put it to cold storage, live on a Bitcoin standard.
And when it goes down, get your McDonald's job.
Yeah, stack more sats. And then eventually you got a boat that will go inside a boat. And it's all great.
I mean, we can't really come back on this one because the fact is that you don't really work anymore and you have a farm.
Yeah.
So, yeah, proofs in the pudding.
Yeah.
But on this one, it's a great thread. So the financial advisor said the age of retirement for IRAs is 59.5. He raised my hand and said, this is something we go about all the time. Can't a politician just get in office and arbitrarily change that? So this is a point for UK. So if a UK listener, up until I know 8 years ago, you could retire or take your private pension at the age of 50. It's now 57 or 58. So there,
coming into effect later on.
Yeah, but it's changed, and it's the same with your or what's it called, the public pension. The fact is that you can't take that till, is it 65? No, we've raised it, haven't it, to 67 again. So once again, you've changed. You had a contract when you entered work to be able to retire at 65 and also 50 if you saved enough. And now it's been bumped up by 7 or 8 years on that way and 2 years on the other. And I think it was Jeremy Hunt or one of the other dickheads who said, oh, we just can't afford to pay it, so we need more people to die.
Yeah. And my other point on this is it's the age, definitely. It's also the taxes. Oh, it's tax efficient. Oh, is it? Couldn't a politician just get in office and arbitrarily change that?
Yeah, I think at the moment in the UK, it's about 20 grand where tax. If you withdraw 20 grand in a year, you start to pay tax. And the fact is, when we come to retire, say the money doubles every 15 years. So what am I now, 40? So that's 2 double points. So 20, 40, 80. So I'd need £80,000 to be the equivalent of £20,000. Will the taxes that change by that point, or will they put me into a 50%, sorry, 40% tax bracket for withdrawal?
Yeah, because it's taxed as income, isn't it? And
Yeah.
all these limits are only coming down. You know, like cap gains, it was 12 grand a year, now it's 6.
It's
So
going
who
to 3.
Yeah, so who knows by the time we get to our retirement age, are you just hitting 40% tax straight away, even if you're just taking out the bare minimum? Because they've reduced it so far down now that income tax is pretty much everyone pays 40. It isn't only the high earners pay for, because already the high earners aren't paying 40, right? So like it's really low to middle as when you start paying high earner tax. And then it's like that line is way too low. That like the line for high earner tax should be at least double, probably triple. But it's stayed where it always has been, and inflation has just pushed everyone into it. And
Yeah,
now
because the
suddenly it's like,
fact
oh, you're a high earner. It's like, no, I'm not.
because
I'm
like we've talked about the number 100 grand, where 100 grand was buy a Porsche, be able to retire after so many years, and that was literally the 80s figure. So we've had 40 years since then, so at least 2 doubles. And I think the most obvious thing about where this is in the US. They've started treating over £400,000 as a rich person. I think this is some kind of tax. I can't remember what it is exactly. So that's the indication of where the actual ban should be. It should be literally quadruple of where we are at the moment, but still they're looking at high in the UK, certainly high tax being 100,000. But some of the points in here is so talking about age, said, oh, it's the next generation of workers. So politician Nikki Haley or Haley calls a change in retirement age for Americans who are now in their 20s. So once again, it's not 59.5 or whatever. It's up to 69. So it's for us. Our public pension will be probably in the 70s by the time which we get there, at least 75. The average age of deaths is 83. So you maybe got 8 years if you're lucky. And then for your private, which I find the most horrendous one, if it's gone up to 57, and this is to lock your money in the financial system to keep it balanced, that'll go up. So it's kind of like, do you risk putting all your money into a pension and hoping that it pays off on your 2 or 3% gains every year, whilst inflation is 5 to 10%? Or do you start looking at other things? So, the simple one is put it into an ISA, because I think you get up to, what is it, 20 grand where you can put into that, but obviously there's still a little bit of a lock in it, and obviously you got Bitcoin on the other side.
I would love for us to be able to get a financial planner or a pension specialist onto the show and have this debate with them to really get their understanding. And, again, Mr. Rowling, you raise a great point in the fact that a politician could be elected and the rules and the policies around retirement age could be changed. Same as with regards to the tax efficiency around pensions. And effectively debate why their way or their thinking outthwarts that of Bitcoin and doing it yourself.
Well, there's a risk because it's unknown. So that's what we'll come back with. But when you look at the IFAs, like the fees are through the roof. To deposit, I want to say it's 2 or 3%, and then it's a 1% management fee every year, plus all the individual funds which go into your fund with their fees. So you're paying massive percent. So say on average you're paying 3% per year or 2% per year. That's got to beat the market, so the S&P by 2 to 3%.
Correct.
And the fact is
Just
that
to break even.
Yeah, these things are balanced, so they don't go into big negatives. So the fact is a low risk, so you're not going to see 12%, you're going to see more like 3%. So you're 7% below the market, and you've paid someone and keeping someone going. But someone who I actually know quite well works as an IFA. And I asked him about his pension. Oh, hasn't really hammered it. So I'm like, oh, you haven't paid into the funds? He's like, oh, no, I need to get into it. So that doesn't instill confidence, does it?
No.
And this is one of the big providers in the UK.
I saw a video just yesterday with Martin Lewis, and he mentioned that really and truly most people should be putting 20% of their income into their pension. And that in
into a form of savings and investments, yes. Into your pension, I think there's too much risk now with the moving pension age just as a starter, without going into the taxes.
But then the third element is the government that is backing all this, and you're essentially putting it with, is it going to be around in 30 years?
Yes, that's another issue.
Yeah.
Moving this on, just because there's some funny quotes in here. So one of the questions was, if you had all the money that you needed, what would you do with it? He said you had the typical answers from everyone. Of course, my answer was Bitcoin. And then it was followed up on the screen, and everyone looked at him, and like he's a court gesture, the lady was, who put that and why? So I said, because I'd rather just save in a monetary system that's scarce with rules that don't change, rather than be a gambler in a monetary system where the rules change arbitrarily and the money is infinitely printed by central banks. So that is some in-depth knowledge, isn't it? That is spouting some knowledge which you cannot dispute because it happens. And for myself and Sir Neverlook, one of our assets was hit by these changes. So obviously you're into something and the rules suddenly change out of your control and you lose a lot of money.
Yeah.
And this is one of the things which put me more into Bitcoin when this happened.
Can you talk about this? What's this mystery asset you're talking about?
Well, it's the one which you know quite well. We talked about it a few times in Shrouded Secrecy on the show.
I don't know if you guys ever watch Stick to Football, the podcast.
Oh yeah, I love
with
that.
Yeah, me too. And I do enjoy the chats that they have before they start the show. And I guess ultimately we do that as well. Before we actually record the show, we have our chat. And maybe obviously viewers would prefer to watch that part because I really get a lot out of that as well. But we can't talk about that part because that's where we reveal the stuff of actually what really goes on.
Yeah, or the day job, isn't it? So I get the day job.
Yeah.
And going on to some of the other points. So he's got here going through the points. To everyone who thinks that Bitcoin is some funny thing, I have a question for you. When the overlords, so obviously conspiracy theorist here, of your money, tell you you've went above your carbon credit limit on your debit card, so no more spending for you this week. That'll never happen. They're not proposing that through the WEF, are they? They're not talking about that in government. No, this is just conspiracy.
That's our next
Or
one.
we need a new QE program to bail out X insolvent sector. That's never happened. I don't know why he's put that there. Because that's, it's a conspiracy theory. Or all transactions above $1,000 in physical cash are illegal. That's not been proposed across Europe. Or you must turn in all your cash for CBDC dollars. That's a risk, isn't it? And in order to provide economic stability, we must lower rates down to negative levels. It's never happened.
So basically everything he says is true, yeah.
Yeah, but you read it and you go, conspiracy theorist because he's written overlords. No one controls us because we're free.
Yeah, well, it's just, this is the thing, right? This is what happens when someone that is financially literate, which is probably just about any Bitcoiner that has studied it to a decent level, when we sit, and it's a shame because I can't sit in these sessions anymore in fiat land, where these pretty much like lower
Why
level.
don't you just invite an IFA round to your house just for a laugh?
Well, weirdly, I did. Like when I first left work, I was still slightly programmed, even though I was a Bitcoiner, to talk to these people, and I did, and I spoke to a couple of them. But then I asked them the same questions as you did, and went, prove to me how you can beat the S&P, because I did at the time I was not Mr. All In. I was like, I've sold well, I put the majority of me into Bitcoin, but I'm like, I probably need to take some out because I'm very young and I just want to be able to have some level of certainty over the next couple of years. So I want to be able to.
And you've been programmed into the system to believe that that was the right thing to do, ultimately.
Yeah.
It's very hard to unplug everything.
Yeah,
so you're in a position now where your assets are at a point where even if we have a drawback, you're still comfortable. I suppose that's where we wish to be. So we're kind of in a way in a similar position to where you were, where we believe in the asset, but we need it to be higher in order to be in that position where we can risk more.
It's
well,
true,
not risk
but it doesn't.
more.
Yeah, but it's true, but it doesn't stop us from thinking and acting in the way that we do, because I look at people and some of the things that they say, and I'm just like, you're such a retard, like, or you just don't get it.
Yeah,
and you know, effectively, once they one day do get it, you're like, told you so. But they think that they're the ones that are the clever ones.
Yeah. Well, because the advantage you've got now, at least, is that no matter how much money you've got, you're not going to go to an IFA, are you? You're not going.
Never.
You're just not going to do it. Whereas, I hit the amount of money that I wanted to hit, so I just thought, well, I need to put a portion of this with a pro, right? But then I spoke to the pros, and just asked them some key questions, like, show me how you outperform the S&P, tell me roughly why, and what do you put your money in over the last couple of years that enabled that, and what is your future projections and to the future as to how you can maintain these types of gains. None of the answers came back, literally none of them, and because most of them hadn't outperformed the S&P. So and even the fact that I was asking that, I just went, why shouldn't I just put my money in an S&P 500 ETF tracker?
It's because if you took out,
you couldn't answer the question.
If you took out some like 5 of the days, it would put it a lot lower. And I said, so my response to that was like, so if I have my money in there anyway of those days, I've made a profit because I'm not just putting it in trying to play the market. I'm doing long term. So this is like the wife push this, and she's even stopped bothering trying to tell me I should go with an IFA. because I'm just like, it literally destroyed this person. There's no chance. And then I actually drummed up to show what it looked like versus some information which he gave us versus the S&P. I was like, what's the point? Seriously, what is the point? If the S&P goes under, that means the whole financial the financial world has gone under.
Yeah, that was the only point with me as well. They just went, well, we don't just put it into the S&P, so we put it into the bonds, into property, and certain instruments that we have access to, you don't have access to as a retail investor. So if there's a big crash, we will protect you from it. I just went, yeah, but the market has crashed numerous times. It's always recovered and gone to all-time highs because that's the world we live in. We live in fiat land. So I'm not retiring for like 20, 30 years. This money I'm giving you is not spare cash. This is just cash I want you to almost throw into something and leave for 20 years. And hopefully, professionally, you manage that. And that's my fiat allocation. And I'm going to manage my day-to-day funds over here. And once you say that, he's trumped, right? Because it's like, look, if this entire financial market collapses, you're not beating any market. Like, you're exactly all your money too. Like everything, the bonds, it's all just a domino system, isn't it? It's a house of cards.
So for any listener, like if you're looking at like fiat investments, the S&P is the one, or there's a world index trade fund. I can't remember what it's called, but these are the two which you should go for. Because the fact is, if the S&P or this world one falls over, we're all fucked anyway. It means that fiat's crashed. And like I said this to my dad. My dad's like, yeah, I realised. I was like, fucking hell. My dad's a bit smarter, but he can't get into Bitcoin. He won't go with IFAs because he's just like, they don't give anything. They just diversify the funds. And so I put it into these ETFs because the fact is, if the American market goes, it means that our money's wiped out anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with this, it's all gone away. My wife stopped bothering me because, like I said, I think he got a bit destroyed in that meeting. Mm-hmm. I mean, he did try and chase her, but I think she just ignored him.
I actually remember, I only sat in one pension meeting, and it was after that meeting that I pretty much stopped paying into the pension. Because even though I was not a Bitcoiner at the time, and I'd been paying into it for years and years and years, blindly, because everyone told me, got to pay into your pension. If you don't, you're financially illiterate. So I went, God, I don't want to be that, so I'll pay in. I went to the pension fund meeting and just asked, I just remember the questions being asked. This guy was incompetent, like completely incompetent, could barely answer a single question.
Yeah, but IFAs or whatever he is, they are salespeople.
Yeah.
They are not an analyst.
Yeah.
They are not someone in the know. They do not know how to invest. They're a salesperson. It runs on this central thing of all these funds, which they just tank together.
That's what I realized. I realized this guy is not some genius investor that knows everything about pension funds, knows everything about the market. I just went, what am I doing giving, I think at the time it was like 10% of my salary to this guy? And even then, I just went, I still think I need a pension. I ain't giving it to this guy. So I just stopped paying. I literally came out of the meeting, and it was like the next day, just emailed HR and went, I want to put my pension contributions down to zero. And I wasn't even putting it into Bitcoin then. I just went, what am I doing giving it to that guy? I don't know what he is doing with it. And at the time,
Yeah.
I was doing my own stocks and shares investing. I'm like, I'm giving myself that money. That guy hasn't got a fucking clue. And I'm giving him a sizable amount of my salary every month. I'm like, I literally, I just go, that is the money that I would kill for to start off my investment portfolio. I'm taking it back. I'm taking back control.
See, one of the comments was like, how come all these people give IFAs or whoever money to invest? And my point is like they're bamboozled. You know, they think they should, and they think, and some of them say, oh, they've retired. So this is why I got pushed into meeting this IFA. I helped Thingy retire. I said, you do realise that he had a Navy pension? That's what made him retire. He retired in spite of this person who's taking percentage points off him. And when I did the graph as well,
If he
I was in,
retired with
but
2 million. If he didn't have an IFA, he would have retired with 4 million. It's
yeah,
just,
exactly. Like it's a phenomenal amount of money, and to anyone who's saying, "Oh, but there's some great investors," you haven't got access to them unless you probably got 100, 200 million minimum. You're not getting them that fund because people like Ray Dalio doesn't deal with plebs, and that's the only type of person who you want to invest with.
Yeah.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
why like I always put myself back to obviously this guy, what's he called, Jay Finney or Finney J. I'd imagine being in that pension meeting now, just laughing my head off. You know, not only did I know the guy was incompetent, I didn't have the answer really at the time. I was just almost like in the casino,
Oh,
in the stock
I
market,
remember him. Yeah,
putting my
yeah,
money around.
absolutely.
If I was sat there now with my Bitcoin and my Bitcoin knowledge, it would be a shit show in there. It would be embarrassing.
Wasn't it strange though how I had that same feeling, and it's I guess obviously why we all came together as well, but it's just something off about not just him but the whole process as well,
Hmm.
and it just kind of reeked of rather than lapping it up like the masses and the majority of the people in the company, we were just a bit more like, I don't know about this.
Yeah, it felt like it's one of those things, right? Where you know when you email a support sometimes,
Yeah.
and they email you back going, yeah, it is what it is. We can't fix that. Anything else I can do for you? And you go, well, yeah, the original point, dickhead. You know, you haven't you haven't fixed anything. Like, don't ask me what else you can do. Like, you haven't done the first thing, right?
Yeah.
And I felt that was like what he was doing in this pension meeting. You go, any questions, we'll answer anything, we're totally transparent. So I'd ask a question, he either wouldn't know it, or would dodge it, or would fumble his way through a half-assed answer, and then go, anything else? And I'd be sat there going, you didn't answer that one. What do you mean? Why are we moving on? You haven't done that
Yeah,
one.
I think
Yeah.
the thing which the government has done, which is quite a tricky thing, which has caused issues, is before you could opt out of paying into your pension, and the company would still contribute 5%, whereas now they force you to pay 3%. So this is once again to prop up the financial system. And mutual friends, he messaged me about this because I just told it stop paying, and no one noticed. Whereas they've reinforced it lately that 3% is paid, and it's kind of like it's not. I think when you're working, you still got you still could do 0%, and the company would pay 5%.
Yeah.
So it's just considering what to do at the moment because it's still 3%, but it's hard to pull out all these kind of like plugs because you're kind of like programmed for the matrix, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah, you relinquish your shackles whenever you're ready, but because controlling your own money and is just because I remember when they brought that out, like, it's mandatory to pay into your pension. It's weird because when I was in fiat land, I thought, oh, that's great. Now there's going to be less people getting to retirement age with no pension and just relying on the state.
What you mean?
Make them
8% of their average wage of what's the average wage at the moment? 32,000.
Yeah, no, it's just in your head.
There's a reason why
zero, right? It's better than zero.
Yeah, there's a reason why we took the maximum wage age of working was because no fucker's gonna be able to retire.
Yes.
Certainly not with certainly not on a state pension.
It's crazy once you get properly orange pilled and you realize how deep the lies go and how it's just really it's heartbreaking really because you just think the pension is the safest of the safe and then you realize no I literally have this upside down. The pension is the riskiest investment you can do. Once you realize that, you go, right, I'm risk adverse. I don't want to do that. And why do you like Jesus? Like I always thought anyway, my number one reason not putting my money into a pension was if I need the money that's coming out of my pension, my career was a failure. And I'm gonna fucking nail this career. I'm gonna work really hard and earn a shit ton of money. If I need the piddly amount of money that comes out of a pension when I'm 85, I failed. And you know what? I'll take the L and I'll be poor. Fuck it. Because that was always my way of thinking anyway. I'm like, I'm not going to be a minimum wage, like slave wage kind of person my whole life. I'm going to crack on and make something. So I don't need this backup now. And I just went, you know what? Some people do need the backup. Some people don't have that drive. They will, they'll earn less and they'll be happy with it. And there's people that I respect highly. Like, my mum would be one of them, who's a nurse, never earned good money. It's like, oh, the pension is for them, right? It's they're not going to earn big money, but they do really good, worthwhile jobs that don't get paid a huge amount. But they pay in a bit a month to this, and when they hit retirement age, it looks after them in old age. So my original way of like getting out of the pension scheme was, well, I'm not like her. I'm gonna earn the big bucks and get out that way. And if this pension scheme is there, like if I'm living off this pension when I'm 85, then in my eyes, I failed because I'm going for money. I'm not going to be a nurse. I'm going to the business world, which doesn't really add a lot to the world. It just makes me money and makes the shareholders and the directors money. So that's my route. So I think that almost like knocked my shackles off anyway. That's when the pension fund is for the people that don't earn a lot of money and need to be looked after in old age. I ain't one of them. I'm going my own path. So that's why I stopped paying into a pension well before I found Bitcoin.
But don't worry, because CBDCs will save you, and no doubt UBI.
Will Dishy Rishi be on the front cover of it? That's what I want.
Dishy Rishi.
What very strange, isn't it, Dishy Rishi, in terms of like being the PM? It's not very outspoken in terms of, previously prime ministers were always on the TV and always giving speeches. I don't really see that much from him.
Well, he's been sent in by his father-in-law, hasn't he? To make sure he gets some juicy government contracts. We know there's 32 billion track and traces for him to take. Yeah. So he can siphon that money out of the UK and out of your pension. What I find the most amazing thing about the next story is over 50,000 people took part in this experiment. And do you know there's actually been experiments for UBI as well within the UK?
We covered it.
Did we?
Yeah, it's like less than 10,000 people I think went in it.
Yeah, but I wonder if that woman from that video which she sent around was in the UBI experiment who got cleaner 3 times a week.
I would also like to understand what the incentive was, because there must have been something in order for them to have over 50.
People are curious. They're going, oh, we could do the CBDC. And they're like, it's like Bitcoin, but it's Britcoin. So let's get involved. And everyone's like, oh, Rishi, because you're Dishy, I'll do this.
If I was them, the way I would filter down who I put in, I'd go on Twitter and find a load of people that have been vaccinated, have the Ukraine flag listed, and their pronouns and be like, welcome to the CBDC like focus group.
Yeah.
Because every
Yeah.
single one of those stupid idiots is going to go, yeah, this looks great. Because they're not using their brains to fucking think, are they?
Mentioned,
And
you forgot to mention a rainbow flag in there,
mm,
in
yeah,
there as well.
you got a rainbow. Yeah, the pronouns normally cover that, but yeah, throw it in for good luck.
Yeah.
What I mean, the thing with this, he does make a point. I think it's the second paragraph. It's puzzling that the government is pushing ahead with plans to pilot the digital pound, despite failing to explain to the public or parliament why one is needed. It's a solution in search of a problem that could pose serious risks of privacy intrusion, security breaches, and inequality in the UK.
Correct. Yeah.
So
That's
I think we covered this in a story. I think it was some board member at PayPal or one of the big ones like Strike. I can't remember which one it was exactly. No, sorry, Stripe. Is one of the payment companies where he said the CBDC, it brings nothing to the table. You know, you talk about UBI or helicopter payments, they could do that now if they wanted to. Like there's a whole backs and chaps payment network. They can do this. They're just choosing not to. And it's also because if you start doing things like that, you move away from sound monetary policy. But the whole point of CBDCs isn't to help you or speed up anything, it's to enslave you. And it sounds like a big conspiracy theorist, but what is the benefit? And there is no benefit. Oh, you get faster payments. Well, you could fucking revolutionize the banking system. I think Jack Mallers put in a bolt on which did it through Lightning and attached it back into fiat as well. It was just using Bitcoin in order to move it the initial value and putting loading pounds either side, well, dollars either side.
I remember when we first started talking about fucking Rishi, he was crypto and Bitcoin friendly.
yeah.
No, he was crypto friendly because he wanted Bitcoin all along. It's
Yeah,
funny enough, his
so, of
father-in-law has frameworks for CBDCs and wants to sell them to governments.
course he does. Yeah, of course he will find some way of profiteering off it. But yeah, but the way he kind of got in was this. I'm this. Well, obviously he never got voted in, but
No.
he kind of his brand was I'm up to speed with the new tech. I will embrace this. I want to become a crypto hub for the world. You know, make London the new financial powerhouse. Da, da, da. And you just and I remember like we were kind of coming on going, oh, this looks promising, but there's a chance what he means by this is
Yeah.
a fiat digital kind of a fiat blockchain crappy project. You know, a pound on the blockchain, which is just the pound, right? We didn't move anything other than lose even more sovereignty from now that they can surveil the money completely, they can monitor it, they can put restrictions on it, they can stop us doing stuff, they can tax us automatically. A load of problems. And at the time, it wasn't called a CBDC, but that's what it's turned into.
It
And
was
very
called
quickly,
It was called Bitcoin.
yeah, I think it potentially still is. It's just that it'll be a CBDC, right? That's no matter how they try and rebrand it, no matter how they're trying to water it down, it's a CBDC, you know, central bank digital currency. And yeah, it's just as always, you know, he's not crypto friendly at all. He's not trying to become a crypto powerhouse. He's trying to protect the failing fiat, and this is just their latest scam.
You need a
And
system to lock you in, and then they'll do things. Oh, we can't afford beef now. Well, actually, we can afford beef, but it's better to eat bugs. So it's kind of like you've seen this, you know, from the pure meats down to the pink goo, down to oh no, eat vegetarian food or bugs. Oh, eggs, they're worse than smoking. So we've had all these things which are, you know, true, that they've been reported, but then they've always been dismissed within a year or two, where we said actually bugs are not good for you. They don't have a right form of protein. I can't remember what it is exactly. Eggs are a superfood, and it's known that eggs should be a staple in your diet. And then things like pink goo, processed food. There's been a book which has caused a big revelation lately, ultra processed people, and this has opened many people's eyes to how bad processed food is. So now we're getting all these fake studies coming out saying, "Oh no, it's fine. It's fine. All these people are fine." And it's just like, well, it increases cancer, and that's fucking evidence, because there's all these studies proving it. And so it's just once again, it's not working. All these like fake little reports and studies, so they have to force you down the path, don't they? Oh, carbon tax.
Yeah.
That cows' farts are burning the atmosphere.
Yeah, it's good to see the protest in France at the moment because they're really going through hell at the moment around the amount of pressure the farmers are on to basically just shut down. Yeah, they're literally paying their farmers to take one-off big incentives to stop farming. And the farmers are just protesting in there, and there's loads of like wine and produce being imported from other countries, and they're going, say we don't need it made here, and the delivery and lorry drivers were just dumping it on the side of the road, all this wine and all this food going.
We do need to do that in the UK but they import it from somewhere cheaper because they've inflated away the value of the pound, haven't they? So we struggle to make things affordable and buy it from Argentina or somewhere poor.
Yeah, it's a combination of numerous things. I mean, that is definitely one of them. Because the wages are too high in a lot of Western countries, so we have to go and basically use slave labor.
Well, it's not too high. It's the fact that we've basically devalued the pound so much.
Oh yeah, that's the reason why they're too high. Yeah, and essentially, and I'm sure this will all be in history books eventually. Like we think we live in an era where slavery doesn't exist. It exists on a larger scale than it has ever existed, probably ever. Right, the Western countries have
You mean
enslaved.
40 or 50% tax isn't fine?
That I'm not saying we're slaves. Like, no, we're not. Like,
No, I'm
Jesus
saying,
Christ.
but it's all
We
a
get
form
heavily
of slavery.
taxed, but we're not working in sweatshops and freaking picking crops for next.
Yeah, but it's
nothing.
all a form. Everyone in the world is on a form of slavery because you're not free. You don't pay your property tax, you don't pay your income tax, no matter who you are. I mean, you've got the bits which you're talking about with sweatshops. So you've got all along the scale. No one is free apart from the people at the top who strangely get away with going to islands.
Yeah,
but
I
the
just
CBD
still
seems to
say
make
that.
us free.
Yeah.
Don't you want a taste of that helicopter money?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, what was I going to say? Yeah, but mainly I think the main reason it definitely is that, right? So it definitely is that slave labor and slave wages can ship the money in, ship the food in much cheaper than you can make it in country. But it's about controlling the food supply. It's about control. It's not always about profit. Sometimes it's about control. And once you take off a country's ability to feed itself, and you outsource it to these big, huge, multi kind of cultural, like industrial farms that just basically make sludge, right? They just sludge this crap together. Who knows?
It's the kind of thing which you'd see off a dystopian sci-fi movie, isn't it? I think they've had it in a few.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And what are they doing right now? That is literally, and the only way they can make us.
Don't you want to eat your soy burger?
Well, the only way they can make me eat that is by removing the other options. And if they pay the farmers around me enough money to stop farming, then that's a one-off hit they have to take to then they can invest that and they know they'll make that back 10 times over in the sludge farm that they're creating. Who knows where? Probably in China somewhere. And they'll ship their sludge burgers over.
Well, this is the point. Like you're saying about the sludge burgers, and one of the big things about stopping eating meat is the carbon footprint. But when you actually look into the carbon footprint, and it's funny because it's actually in the main detail, is if you buy beef from Argentina or China, wherever the fuck it comes, massive carbon footprint. You buy it from a locally sourced, grass-fed cow, tiny, smaller than chocolates. It's because the problem with any of your food is the import, as in the plane, which is causing a carbon footprint. And so you buy my sludge. Oh, it's vegan. It's brilliant. It's fucking being imported from China.
Yeah.
So you've got a bigger carbon footprint. And also soy is horrendous for the environment. It's not good to grow.
Well, yeah, where do you grow the soy? You have to knock down the Amazon freaking rainforest.
Well, it's also the energy conversion so bad on soy. It's got such a bad carbon footprint.
And if you go back 50 years, the amount of small farms that are everywhere, the amount of farm shops that are around, if you let people just make their own choices, the majority of people, like before, like the supermarkets and stuff existed, the majority of people brought their meat from the local butcher.
Yep.
The only reason this Argentina beef kind of hit this shelves is because of the first kind of start of globalism, which was the supermarket. And suddenly people stopped buying local, and they didn't know they were doing that. It's just that was the beef that was on the shelf, right?
Yeah, because it's cheaper than the butcher, so let's buy it from a supermarket, save a few pounds.
Yeah, then
Because my wages aren't going up, but beef is.
And the butchers go bust, and now the only choice is the supermarket. Now we've hemmed down your choice of where you buy from. Now we just need to literally, if the meat disappears off the shelf in the supermarkets, it might as well just have disappeared, right? Because people go,
I was having a good look at the vegan stuff in Tesco's the other week, and it looks grim. It looks dry. It looks grim. Like there's steaks, there's burgers and stuff. They all look dodgy as fuck. Like it can't possibly taste good or even be good for you looking at it. It's like, oh, look at this marble fat. I'm like, it just looks white. It looks like a block of white.
Not be marble fat either, can it? It's just fake.
It's like, white. Oh. I feel I've had a good rant on the CBDCs.
Well, that's an episode within itself, ultimately, and again, it's just going to be a waste of money, won't it? Ultimately, one, we're solving a problem that isn't a problem, but two, it still comes back to that, similar to that article that I shared with you guys in our group, where there will be a central company which the governments will have to pick and select as their go-to that will actually effectively distribute the technology, and then from there, that's how the technology will be dished out. If any country tries to do it themselves, it's just a recipe for disaster and all at the expense of the taxpayers' money.
What's 32 billion with 2 years of inflation on top? God, it must be like touching 50 now.
Yeah,
that's how much the project's going to cost, and it'll probably fail. Then they'll do a second one, which will succeed when we get the Dishy Rishi's father-in-law's company in.
Yeah.
Wait, if you move on to the next story. The incredible story of the unlikely man who stole 50,000 Bitcoin, $3 billion.
Is that actually the picture of him on the feed?
That's Jimmy. I got to show him
Is
now.
that? Yeah, I was going to say.
That's Jimmy. Worth 50,000 Bitcoin, that boy. Yeah, because she's in Bitcoin. I recognize her.
It's probably a story which you know the most, Mr. Orlan, because I was reading it and I've read a lot of stories about this, but I just find it bizarre. He's a Bitcoiner. He's an OG Bitcoiner ultimately, so he's going to have so many Bitcoin. So he knows all about the ledgers. He knows all about splitting it up. He knows about not sharing your stack. All these things which have been going round and round. He must know. And he just seems to have broken everything in this story.
So in a way, but also not, right? So the story of Jimmy Zong. So someone's broken into his house. He's like, I've been gone. Someone stole a load of money. Someone stole 400K in cash, right? So he's got a lot of cash sitting around and some Bitcoin. So basically it goes on anyway. So he realizes that someone's broken into his house. They knew exactly what he had and where it was. And in reality, this is a very small amount of money. So he thinks he's lost 150 Bitcoin and 400,000 in cash. That sounds like, oh, why is he not being safe with his security, right? That's a ridiculously high amount of money. No, it's not, because Jimmy has 50,000 Bitcoin. So him losing 150, he's been smart. So people think that oh, that's his stack. That isn't his stack. That's his day-to-day play money that he hides behind the fireplace or something.
Right.
And he's got it on CCTV. But his biggest problem and his biggest issue with what he did was that he reported this. This theft that he's undergone here is less than $1 million. By reporting it, it put him on the radar for the police. So when they actually started looking around and going, well, hold on, where's this guy got this amount of Bitcoin from? Even the 150 Bitcoin plus the 400K, this doesn't line up with this guy's earnings.
Yeah.
So the IRS started like flagging him, going, well, this looks risky. And then they suddenly went, well, hold on, is he connected to the Silk Road hack where 50,000 Bitcoin went missing?
So back in 2019, it's when it slumped down to about $3,000, isn't it?
In 2020 March.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the chart here, and it's still about $3,000, so it looks like it slid sideways for some time.
Okay. Because remember when the markets just crashed on that specific day?
So it looks like from November 2018 through to it's like 2020 somewhere is when it slid sideways at like $3,000. So it wasn't masses, but it's still, if he had 50,000 Bitcoin at that price.
Right.
He's got 150 million at that price.
Yeah.
Back in 2019.
Yeah, so he hasn't, so he has a stack ton of money, right? But then the problem is they start going, right, we need to watch this guy. And essentially they do. They come round under the guise of going, oh yeah, let's investigate and let's see if we can get your Bitcoin back. They wait for him to log into his laptop and then grab it off him, get a USB in to essentially keep it open and then start looking for evidence to whether this laptop has stolen money from Silk Road. He's just blindsided. He thought the police came in to help him receive the money that he had stolen and the Bitcoin he'd had stolen. In reality, they would never have helped him do that. The only reason they came was because they suspected him of a bigger crime. And the crazy thing is, right, this is the nuts thing. The way he stole 50,000 Bitcoin from Mt. Gox, or from Silk Road, was that he double clicked the withdraw button. Like I remember creating a game called Poker Sharks, right? And when I first launched it, double clicking buttons also gave you double points inside my game. The points that I was giving out were just points in a game, right? And I had one guy, he was double clicking every button and he was top of all my leaderboards. And I had to ask him, how are you doing this? Because I thought I'd solved all the bugs and all the flaws. And he went, I just double click buttons. I'm like, oh my God. And you go back and you go recode all buttons to go only take the first input. Don't fucking leave it open until the page is refreshed. Like, because he's slamming the button and until the page refreshes, it takes all the inputs and puts in 10 times the amount of points as he should have had. Jimmy did that on a real live Bitcoin exchange back in Silk Road days. And that's how he managed to just withdraw shit tons of Bitcoin. He just kept withdrawing a bit of Bitcoin, probably redepositing it, withdrawing double, redepositing it, withdrawing double. That's how Jimmy managed to get Bitcoin.
But back then, so you got 50,000, what would it be? Like a couple of pounds each?
Yeah.
So literally it was,
maybe up to $100 a coin.
Or 200 grand or so.
In 2013, the price spiked to $1,000 a coin. So even back then, he was sitting on 50 million.
Okay.
But then the price goes up to,
You say that's the most insane thing about the story. The thing which I find most insane was he had all his Bitcoin and cash. Well, I suppose it's probably not all his cash, but all his Bitcoin sitting in some kind of like safe behind his chimney. No, that it split up.
No, No, that was on his well, they don't really go into that, I don't think, do they?
No, it's just basically talks about it was stolen from the house as opposed to where. But I believe from reading, it's more of an inside job of people that he knows.
Yeah, it's blatantly like some of the girls he'd been bringing around fucking
Yeah.
found out where he was going to get his money. But no, it
You
seems
want good time, Jimmy?
it seemed to
So
be that the laptop
looking
that they got access to had a number of different addresses and seeds on it, and that's where the majority of the Bitcoin was. He was sending bits of that Bitcoin to this hard wallet behind his chimney, I think, for his day-to-day spends. So that's what got stolen. He got his 400 grand of cash stolen, and he got 150 Bitcoin stolen.
it was only 150, it wasn't the whole stack.
No, no, no.
No,
He
just
barely lost
150
it.
out of
Oh, I've
500.
misunderstood it, but he's an absolute fucking moron for getting in touch with the police when he's got the majority of his stack still.
Yeah, yeah. That's the story. The story
It's
is
just
the
like
fact that he reported losing $1 million.
Dr. Evil 10% woke up. Welcome to Pod 129. Brought to you by the 4Bs.
Yeah, he basically had 3,000 million Bitcoin and 3,000 million worth of Bitcoin. He lost 1 million and reported it. And the
yeah,
3,000 million he had was stolen. It's like, so that, the 3,000 million you stole, you've lost a little bit because someone
yeah.
stole it.
So
Don't report that, dude.
on our estimates, what do you have about 200 million at that point because it was 2019? And looking at the 2012, it's between $5 and $10 then. So it's still going to be $250,000 to $500,000, which he stole from the websites, is still very sizable.
Yeah.
And if he'd held it into the 2020s, 10x on that from the 200 million to 2 billion.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even the sad thing is, right, Jimmy had the opportunity just to go, instead of taking the 50,000, Ross Albright contacted him going, I know you've stolen all this Bitcoin. I can literally see it going into your address, right? Because obviously all these accounts have got names on them. You can see he's double clicking buttons. He doesn't know how all this Bitcoin has gone to his wallet. So Ross has contacted him going, look, I'll pay you 5,000 Bitcoin to tell me how you did
And keep the 50,000.
and keep the 50.
Yeah.
I don't, oh, and keep the stolen Bitcoin. Oh my God.
So he's giving him another 50 grand, well, 25 to 50 grand.
Yeah. And Jimmy declined.
I would just go, sound, that's scot-free, isn't it? It's a payment for
I guess he
security.
thought, I guess he just thought this is the goose, the golden goose that keeps laying. I hope your exchange keeps going forever and I can just keep double clicking buttons. But Jesus, yeah, he probably just thought this is worth more than 5,000 Bitcoin to me. So no, I'm gonna keep this. This is ace. Like no. I guess how much is 5,000 Bitcoin? I guess back then maybe it was only 50.
Like I said, it's between $5 and $10.
That's 25 to 50K.
But still, he's basically been paid somewhere about $250,000 to $500,000 as a security consultant as such to teach Ross what's gone wrong.
Yeah.
And Ross gone, don't care, just tell me so it can't happen again.
No, he didn't even like you say security consultant. He's not doing anything freaking clever here. It's like I double click the withdraw button, Ross. That's it.
But it's also like it doesn't end there with how insane this story gets. They're talking about, I don't know how true this is and how it actually means how it affects Ross Albright, but the recovery of 50,000 Bitcoin at one time worth 3 billion means that Ross Albright's 183 million debt owed to the US government as part of his sentence will be erased. This forms part of the deal where Ross agrees to waive any ownership rights over the Silk Road Bitcoin. So how does that affect the prison sentence? Because he's in for life. He's got, I don't know, hundreds of years, hasn't he? Does he actually get out now?
No, it just means that the debt has been owed and debt has been paid. So he did owe the US government not only time, but he's been prosecuted under the Kingpin prosecution, which only from like 3 people before him has ever been prosecuted on, which essentially is not just running a drug ring. It's being running such a large and organized drug ring. It is, almost global in size. And so you're literally like a mob leader, literally like the head of the mafia. You are the kingpin, the boss of all bosses. That's what he got charged under. So yeah, I think unless someone essentially pardons him, he is never coming out. So yeah, so
Because
like the
yeah,
monetary
looking at
debt
here,
is
it's
just
double life imprisonment plus 40 years.
yeah, he's yeah.
I still think there's a plea bargain in there somewhere.
Yeah, he needs a Bitcoin standard. Yeah, with hyper
Yeah,
Bitcoinization and the fall of the US government and therefore the fall of the US justice system,
yeah,
the installation of a more fair system, he stands a chance. But because clearly he was not a kingpin, right? He just created a website and it did a load of things.
yeah.
But
Yeah, he
they
created a marketplace ultimately, didn't he? And then they put loads of rumors out into the press about murders and contract killers. I don't know what they sold on Silk Road. I thought it was just drugs.
yeah.
No, apparently
Um,
you could do that. You could buy a
well, but
contract killer.
was that apparently, as in something from the mainstream media, or was it actually said from someone in the know on Twitter?
You couldn't buy contract killers on Silk Road. But what Ross got charged with is
Yeah, but he got charged with, but they put a load of things into the media about him arranging for contract killers, which was
exactly.
never proven.
Yeah, well, there's messages that supposedly Ross is talking to what he thinks is a hacker or actually someone that is there's someone that's stolen a load of Bitcoin on the platform, and someone contacts him going, I know him, I can sort this out, and supposedly they send messages to each other to go, can you just kill this guy? And so this is where the whole contract, he got charged of all these things, and that's part of the reason why they arrested him. But when he went to court, they dropped all those charges. Or so yeah, but every time they write about it in the media, the fact he got charged with, pay to kill type
Right.
services, it gets repeated time and time again. But he never got actually convicted
Prosecuted, yeah, and
of
convicted.
anything of
Yeah,
that nature.
yeah.
It was purely just running a website that sold illegal drugs, which unfortunately, even as a Bitcoiner, you got to go, he did. Uh, is it wrong? I say no. It absolutely isn't. The amount of drugs that come out of the pharmaceutical companies that are just as addictive, if not more so, than heroin.
I think that this is another conspiracy theorist. The opioid crisis never happened.
Yeah. Man, there's a freaking Netflix show on it right now. Freaking what's it, Oxymectin or something? Like the whole of America's hooked on this thing, and no one gives a
Yeah.
shit. No one's gone to prison for that. But
Wasn't it
Yeah.
fentanyl was one of the first ones which were
Oxycodone,
released?
yeah, and fentanyl, and yeah.
yeah, when one of
Right.
those guys, when one of those guys goes down for being a kingpin and gets 150 years, then you start thinking the fiat system and the justice system is fair. But when someone like Ross goes down, you kind of look at it and go, well, look, based on like where the charges are, it looks like a fair kind of sentence. You go, okay. But then you suddenly look at everybody else and nobody gets that. You go, right, this is one rule for one rule for another. And pretty much like this guy broke out of the system and kind of went peer to peer with drugs and did it at scale with Bitcoin as well, of course. That's why he got taken down. That's clearly the reason. And here we are, good old Jimmy, freaking sitting in the back, just caning off the profits. And it looks like he spent most of the money freaking wasted, didn't he? Like, apparently didn't have any friends, had a load of women hang around him, but they all just wanted handbags and holidays and expensive dinners and poor old Jimmy seems to know his Bitcoin security pretty well, but didn't know how to verify friends very well, and then bizarrely reported this theft, and now he's been hooked for stealing 50,000 Bitcoin off Silk Road.
They only got a year because they said that there was no crime being committed since he took up a criminal enterprise.
Yeah, that's an interesting little twist at the end, isn't it? Yeah.
So really good story. I think there's two absolutely banging threads in this pod. That one and the one about the financial advisor.
Yeah, and we've got a fun story to finish off with.
Yeah. I know, I think we touched on it last week about the whole JPEGs and the dumb money that went into everything that was around, well, again, the JPEGs essentially. But it's saying here that the JPEG salesmen have run into serious trouble distributing them to buyers. So what we're of course alluding to is people that were selling, I've forgotten the name of them, the proper name of JPEGs.
NFTs.
NFTs, yeah, NFTs. Because ultimately people are still holding NFTs and believing that, that one day they'll come good again and that people will want to buy those NFTs. Nah, not in this lifetime. But if you were smart and you right clicked the NFT, you too hold the NFT, right? And it doesn't matter that yours is the fake copy of the real NFT because no one cares about the NFT in the first place. And that's what seems to have happened here.
So is it any famous company or is it just one of these shitty NFT companies?
No, right. So this one, right? So this one is, oh man, these are the dumbass wizards. So I don't know if you remember Udi.
Oh, it's Udi.
It's Udi. Who's else? Other guy. Dan Held.
Yeah, remember
Uh,
Dan Hale?
who's the
Dan
other?
Held.
Yeah. Who's the other guy? He's the little lad with a silly little mustache. I've forgotten his name now. He was really good, but then he went shitcoiner. I've forgotten his name. I've got Aaron
I mean,
Carter.
Dan Held, the guy who was he at Kraken?
Yep.
He's playing about with what they.
If you're not blocked, go on his Twitter right now, and you'll see at the top of his feed, Quantum Cats reimagining the NFT space.
I know who you mean, the guy with the mustache. Young guy, British.
Nick Carter.
Nick Carter,
Oh,
yes.
Nick Farter.
That's him.
Yeah.
He's behind this as well. So,
What? So it's yet another thing, but he'll blame Bitcoiners about Nick Carter. He's had some right fucking hissy fits, like a little petulant child lately, and
It's a
everyone's just.
strange one again, like
But he
these
was held in
people.
good. He was held in good esteem. Well, all
Yeah.
of these people were at one point. Udi went
yeah.
ages ago. I think that's when I first started really getting into it. Dan Held, I didn't realize had gone into this, and then Nick Farter, he was held quite esteemed when he started shitcoining. He got called out, had a hissy fit, and then started blaming it on rotten Bitcoiners, and got called out again playing about with NFTs. But it'll be
Can
the
I just
Bitcoiners' fault.
He
can I
started
just
crying.
say though that we've seen this happen a couple of times with Andreas Anatopoulos, Robert Breedlove, these guys that we've just mentioned here.
Is
Even
Breedlove shitcoined?
Yeah.
yeah.
So he seems to be pure Bitcoin at the moment.
Well, now
Yeah.
he's done the 180, but he did do it.
There's nothing
Why it's
in
called
Dan
Breedlove.
Hell's which says anything about what is it, cats? It's got follow me to learn about Bitcoin, fractional CMO at Trust Machines Co. at Taproot Wizards plus others.
That's it. Taproot Wizards.
Oh, is it?
That is this NFT shit company.
Oh, oh, oh.
Like he's got it in his bio. It's not like if you scroll down like two tweets, you'd have also seen a massive post about quantum cats, but he's got it in his fucking bio.
Oh, today will mark an inflection point with NFTs on Bitcoin.
There
At
you go.
Quantum Cats XYZ changed the game. Book.
There you go. stop reading. Don't fucking give him the old fucking
Yeah,
smoke.
yeah, I was going to say,
But like,
but
there
this
it
just
is.
goes to it, isn't it? This goes to the point where, we're there shouting about the funds and the EFT funds, and we're waiting for how they're going to scam us, and we know it's coming. But these guys were going down the route of, we're the purists, we're Bitcoin only, follow us, and equally they were doing that in terms of like a really good job. And I just liken it back to the likes of the human nature and the human traits of, ultimately when the greed comes in, effectively people turn.
Yeah. Do you know what a lot of them have in common is BlockFi. Like Dan Held,
Mm,
massive advocate for BlockFi.
yeah,
Like he admitted he had multiple millions on there. Nick Carter was a very early investor in BlockFi.
yeah,
So when that company went under and basically went to zero, their shares went to zero. Obviously,
pump as
had any
well.
assets in there, of course, pump. So it doesn't surprise me that all these guys that were very early into Bitcoin probably built up a decent stack. They went and trusted a lot of this DeFi bollocks, thinking that it's still Bitcoin only. I don't only do the Bitcoin stuff, but I'm just going to lend it and do it. They got they got wrecked, and now they're going, what the hell? Like, there's a load of Bitcoin only
Mm,
plebs that didn't do any work during all this, didn't put it into DeFi, have kind of surpassed me. So they've just cast off the maxis now, and they've gone off into Bitcoin ordinal land and gone, oh, we're the cool cats now. Bitcoin maxis are salty, and they're just not innovating. So we're gonna, and in reality, all they're doing is scamming. So essentially, what had happened here is that the big freaking launch of these Bitcoin cats, they're basically going to raise 3 million. They were selling, I think it was 300 cats at zero point 0.1 Bitcoin. They're going to raise 30, the equivalent of 30 Bitcoin, which is roughly 3 million, three and a half, four, whatever you want to call it. And that was meant to be happening. I think it was yesterday.
So, but go to this. They're willing to literally sell their souls. Like Dan
Yeah.
Howard, I kind of went. He's got a bit of a name. He can get to all these gigs. He's probably earned that in a year. He also works at Kraken. You kind of go as a Bitcoin. You kind of go. He may not be the technological genius or things like that, but he kind of like had that presence. Whereas now
Yeah.
he's just taking it all away by
Yep.
shitcoining for 1 million as his share of this with Udi and
Probably less than
Nick
that
Farter.
because Udi and that is leading this. Nick Carter and Dan Held are just being like promoters. So they might have got a couple hundred grand,
mm,
which kind of just really shows you what your view of their net wealth is inflated. They have clearly either been trading or have got wrecked along the way. Because
yeah.
why are they trading in their reputation for a couple of hundred grand? And anyway, the actual story here is we still haven't actually got to that. Is that they launched these dumbass cats. You can buy a cat for zero point 0.1 Bitcoin, which is basically anything from 3.5 to 4 grand. They didn't even launch. Well, a load of people paid their money and didn't get their cat. So they had to put out a notification going, oh, we're going to try again tomorrow, which is today. So probably almost right now, they're trying again to.
No, I've just been blocked while we've been on this. He didn't even reply to mine. He just blocked me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, to his post about today will mark an inflection point with NFTs. I said I didn't realize you'd gone this low. Shame.
And insta blocked you. That was fast.
Yeah, blocked. I didn't even get a comment. All these people got these witty comments back. I didn't even get the witty comment because he knows.
He probably did. He probably wrote a witty comment and then slam block. That's what.
I was about to unfollow him then because I thought, why the fuck am I letting this person near?
So, again, this week I was listening to Jeff Booth, and he's raised 100 million in terms of looking at Bitcoin technology. I think it's called ego death or something like that. I just feel like if we lose him as another one, then that's, just another one to add to the list.
So what's Jeff
Nick,
Booth launching?
Ego Death. It's like I'll have a look at it.
It sounds like something that all the like. I think if you're going to be genuinely be like an influencer of integrity, what you do need to go through is an ego death. So it fits. So hopefully Jeff Booth won't fall to this because he understands that you need to. Because I think a lot of these guys, they're only doing this because they want to maintain the fact that they are market influencers, and even though they don't really believe in these JPEGs, but I want to be an influencer. I want to push the space forward. And in reality, I just want to make money. So I need to believe in this for a little bit. Then I will pivot back, but I just need to make the money first and I come back. And a lot of what's driving that is ego. The fact that they need to be the richest and the best. And that is the problem with a lot of people that end up being Bitcoin influencers. It's almost like why politicians usually aren't the right people to be politicians, because it's the people that seek out power that you don't want in power. You almost want to empower the people that sit at the back and just think quietly and think to themselves. It's almost that guy. You want to grab him and shove him. You make the big decisions. And but the world doesn't work that way. It's the loud, brash people that get to be politicians, and then it's the same in Bitcoin influencing, right? And we're no different. So it's almost like one by one, all our Bitcoin influencers are falling.
Yeah.
It's almost only like from 2019, 2020, like those kind of influencers, like the Jack Mallers and Michael Saylors of the world that are still standing. Like nearly everyone that I know before then has fallen.
Yep.
They just got overly greedy, or it's like you said, I don't know,
over leveraged.
Yeah, they've
overly greedy, over leveraged, got wrecked, and then I guess when they get to a certain number, well, certainly with Bitcoin getting to a price, you naturally then just hang on to that price, don't you, and anchor? Because I bet offline, all of us could tell us, could say, oh, this was my biggest number, my all-time high number. And once you've got that, that's what your number in Bitcoin is. It's not what you're at right now when the price is where it is. And in their minds, I'm sure it's probably the same. So it's how do I climb back up to what that number was?
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of these guys' numbers really was huge.
Yes.
Because they had big shares in BlockFi that were always billions. And that all just overnight goes to zero.
Right. That hurts.
I'm not going to wait for just Bitcoin to go up. I need to do more than that. And they go, I'm going down the NFT JPEG route. It's just the cost of entry is so low. And ironically, the cost of entry is so low. Because how hard is it to program a dumbass blockchain to take in 0.1 Bitcoin and send them a link to a JPEG? But somehow these guys fucked that up. And a load of people didn't get their JPEG. And so I did a tweet about it.
Yeah, so Ego Death Capital is a fund that's going to be raised, or has been raised, by Jeff Booth and others, but with advisory support from Preston Pish and Lynn Oldham, to investing to companies driving Bitcoin's acceleration. And I remember the interview now. So it's to help the ecosystem to make adoption easier. So it may be paying some of the tech people to obviously keep it going, keep it running, and effectively bring it to the masses. So the fact that they've already raised 100 million as a small start is interesting, but this is all on Bitcoin and with the view of scaling Bitcoin. Fingers crossed, that's always and remains the same with regards to the goal and looking at Bitcoin, and they don't go elsewhere and fall into the same trap as the others.
So do you think, I mean, talk about the influencers who we follow now, so Jack Mallers
Yeah.
and Michael Saylor, Safer Dean, don't you feel they're kind of like a level up from these people who we're talking about anyway? All these people have fallen like they seem much further down the rabbit hole than the rest, especially say Safer Dean. What is he Lebanese originally?
Yeah, he's from Lebanon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
I'd say the thing that differentiates all three of those is that Michael Saylor is probably backed up with huge buys. Mallers has built a great company. Safedine has written a great book. If you look at Nick Carter, Dan Held, and so even like people like McCormack and what, they haven't done anything. They're just influencers.
No.
They're just voices. They're people that have gone viral on Twitter. They've got a following, and then they end up just following it with podcast appearances. And you go, that's nothing. Like, where's your proof of work, really, other than being able to talk quite well on a podcast? What have you done? What have you contributed to Bitcoin? Right? And Mallers and Saifedean, especially, what have they contributed to Bitcoin? Like, well, Jesus Christ, Saifedean, the book, multiple books, and Jack Mallers' Strike, which is a
Yeah.
So I think maybe Bitcoin's just maturing, where we're filtering out the people that talked well, but eventually people show their true colors.
I'm still really disappointed in Dan Held.
I can't believe you're so shocked. It looks like one of your heroes has been shot down live.
He was never a hero.
He's never a hero. I just thought he was solidly just Bitcoin. I just thought he was an influencer who was solidly Bitcoin. I was like, okay, that's fine.
He's blocked you now.
Fucking with his cat JPEGs.
I know. He decided to trade in his 10-year reputation in Bitcoin for some cat JPEGs.
Yeah, should maybe gone balls deep into Dink Doink instead.
It's kind of crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I pretended to be a buyer. I thought I'd get more kudos than I did, but I just tweeted out that I paid 0.1 Bitcoin for a cat JPEG and didn't get the JPEG. So I asked Udi what to do, and he said to speak to D. I asked who D was, and he said D's nuts. I'm heartbroken. That was my kid's inheritance. That was literally inspired by a tweet I just read, because Mark Cuban has been getting massively like torn in freaking like torn to pieces about this ESG nonsense, and he decided to do an AMA last night. The first question that got posted was, "What did you think about what D said about you last night?" And he went, "Who's D?" And he went, "D's nuts." Got ya. And he replied like fail. And everyone's replies was, "Look at the likes, Mark. This is so far from a fail." There's 10,000 likes on D's nuts, and your fail comment's got like 50. Like, people are liking the D's nuts comment.
Again, it goes back to the first point of we Bitcoiners can't have anything nice. We ruin it all.
I think there's been some great stories this week. It's been a fun one, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, from ETF to like crazy Silk Road hacks and
this is what the sector needs, isn't it? The fun along with effectively, as always, every day it's getting stronger and stronger. It's being built more and more, and equally we flush these individuals out as well, because they can't hide themselves for forever.
Exactly. Scammers always show themselves in the end. They want to rent seek. They want to do a bit of scamming, don't they? They want more money than you've got.
Correct.
That's what they're doing now. So yeah, I had my Bitcoin lessons Twitter, and So that's how I was seeing Dan Hell's tweets. I'm like, oh, let's have a look on here. And then I just asked him a question. It probably was quite I can't even remember what it was, but he blocked me insta blocked me. Hey,
I'm
on the
blocked by
set.
I'm blocked by Udi, but I'm not entirely sure what for.
It'll just be liking one of my tweets, probably slagging.
What's Nick
Guilty
Carter's
by
handle?
association.
I was trying to find him, but I don't know what his
Well, you
handle
probably
is.
already blocked. If you can't find him, you're blocked because it's just Nick
Well,
Carter.
but you type in Nick Carter, you get the Backstreet Boys. So I don't know what on earth he is.
No, he was a
Yeah.
version of Nick Carter on there. But yeah, you can't search it if you're already blocked. But yeah,
Well,
yeah, go on.
there we have it. Pod 129, sponsored by Solana, Ethereum, and every other JPEG on the blockchain. Never. You know, essentially that's what everyone's waiting for. You know, if we ever have any form of sponsorship, it'll be by a shitcoin. So there we go. Mr. All In, still with us? Okay, so we are signing out, Mr. All In, aka the $1 Trillion Man, Dr. Evil 10%, aka the People's Champ, myself, Sir Neverlook, aka the Excellence of Execution, and Mrs. No Show, still no show. Pod 129, over and out. Peace.